The first CGI Thomas and Friends episode is Creaky Cranky, but was it also an Easter-themed episode? Is it the weirdest holiday-themed Thomas episode ever? Maybe. Let's find out, shall we? So, Creaky Cranky is a pretty typical run-of-the-mill era episode. Thomas has a job to do, he somehow manages to make those mistakes 3 times in a row, and then at the end of the episode, he magically fixes everything. Hooray! Considering this was basically every other episode for 8 seasons straight, perhaps there was divine intervention from Godgery. How else are you going to justify keeping Thomas around while he costs your top of my hat millions in damages? Anyhow, Thomas's job in this episode is to deliver eggs for the children to paint at the party. In fact, that's not all. Here's what Henry and James are delivering to the party too.
I'm taking these straw bales to the summer house for the children to climb on.
I'm taking wood to make a stage for the children's show and barrels of lemonade to drink.
As you just heard, Henry's delivering straw bales for the kids to climb on, while James is taking wood to build a temporary stage for what I presume to be is so that children can put on an Eastern pageant play similar to that of a Christmas pageant. He's also taking the lemonade too. The only thing missing is some chocolate bunnies as well. I wouldn't argue that this episode is Easter themed, however painting eggs is a very much tradition associated with Easter. Although this episode just refers to it as the Duke and Duchess of Oxford's spring party at their summer house. There's no mention of Easter, but that doesn't surprise me considering this is the middle era of the show. Terms such as Halloween and Christmas were dropped in order to be more inclusive to non-Western world audiences. Never mind the fact that Thomas and Friends is a show about personified railway vehicles during the 1960s, based on stories written by a British clergyman set within the British Isles, with its 2 largest markets also being the United States and Japan. Oh, the irony of it all. Eventually, this would change back, and terms like Halloween and Christmas could be used again. However, we never again got an Easter episode, or at least an episode celebrating a spring holiday. Now, this could be St. Mansion's Day on April 30th, which is being celebrated in the episode, but I seriously cannot imagine that anyone on the writing team for Thomas and Friends at the time would even be aware of such obscure trivia from the Railway series books. Mind you, I do believe that the writers intended this to be an Easter episode. Creaky Cranky was the first CGI episode for Thomas and Friends, and the first episode of the 13th season, after 12 seasons of Thomas and Friends being done entirely with live-action model trains on elaborate sets with a very limited amount of computer-generated images involved. I believe it was a homage to the original series creator, the Reverend Wilbur Awdry, who was a clergyman and a railway enthusiast. It seems only fitting to dedicate the first fully computer-generated episode of Thomas and Friends to its original series creator, who first sketched out the drawings of the characters on spare sheets of paper to demonstrate how far the media of Thomas has changed throughout the years from the 1940s to the present time in the 21st century. There was also a lot of spring merchandise in 2010 for the Thomas and Friends brand in both Take and Play and Trackmaster. In fact, you could get a Trackmaster Thomas, Toby, or Rosie with a giant plastic egg, which when you would open it up, would have a piece of rolling stock inside the plastic egg. Now, I could be wrong, but this is one of the few times that we ever saw Thomas and Friends do anything major for Easter. So while Creaky Cranky is certainly a weird episode, I believe that it possibly being the only Easter episode in all of the original 24 seasons of Thomas and Friends just might make it that even little bit weirder of an episode. But thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and my thoughts on this oddity of a Series 13 episode, and I hope you all had a happy Easter too.